I'm just by this apple tree here near the railway line, and it's just reminded me of that video that you made, Gary. I think it was in response to one of Modern Mystics, one of Nick's videos. We were talking about apples, and it just reminded me of some stuff, really, because this isn't directly related to what you're talking about, but it's about language and action and seeing, because you talk about seeing apples and representation and all that. Because one of the things about seeing is that it's not like a camera, is it? You know, it's not like a camera. This is called, let me see if I get the word right, inactive vision, I think it's called. It's when you see something, like I'm looking at this apple here right now. See, look, hear me looking at this apple there. When I'm looking at it, it's not that it's just imprinted as a solid object on my retina, and then that whole image is imported to the brain. What's happening, as I understand it, is that my eyes are flickering across it. You know what I mean? I'm saccading. There's a little bit of a vibration going on, and I'm doing this kind of thing. And I'm particularly spotting differences in edges. So part of my eye and the brain that services that part of my eye is spotting the edge of the apple, the outside surface. Some parts of it are looking for the variance in the colour, where the red fades to green here, or the spots, or the parts where it's occluded by something else, like this other bit of an apple, or this little bit of a leaf perhaps, which might be just shading it in some way. So my eye isn't just imprinting it like a camera lens, it's also active in it. You know, it's a muscular thing. I guess it relates to what you're talking about muscle memory. You know, there's a muscular thing going on here, and large parts of my perception isn't just of the codification of its colours and that kind of thing. It's size, you know, based on the angle it subtends at my retina, but the muscular action that my eyes are performing. You know, there's this little calculation going on in parts of my brain, calculating what my eye is doing in relation to what the rest of my head and body are doing. So even though I'm moving around now, the apple is staying stable, because there's this massive calculation being done, which is subtracting all the actions that my body is making and factoring that in, because it knows that, yeah, I'm moving about, you know what I mean? So it's calculating that, factoring it in, and giving me a stable perception of an apple because of that. But it's muscular, you know. It's largely the muscles that are forming that, the tiny muscles that are moving my pupil, my eye around, the muscles in my eyeball which are doing this, but all the rest of the muscles in my head and neck are all being factored in to make me see the apple. That's what's happening there, as I understand it, which is fascinating, really. I mean, where it gets kind of interesting to me is, this might be off topic, but let me just do this. I'm just going to grasp this apple. Okay, I've just grasped the apple, purely muscularly from my perspective. You know, I can feel my arm, shoulder. I can feel the shift of weight that's necessary in my body to accomplish that. It's a completely muscular thing that's going on there. Tactile and muscular thing. But there's a couple of things about that which I find interesting. The first thing, I don't want to go on too much about this. The first thing is, obviously, because you've seen me do this, you're mirroring that. The mirror neurons in your own brain are simulating that action. Part of your understanding of what you're seeing right now is drawn from the fact that you're assimilating the information that your eyes are taking, but it's also being sent to parts of your motor cortex, and the neurons there are mirroring the action. There's other neurons which are inhibiting them actually being carried out, so I'm guessing you're probably not reaching forward and grabbing into something in midair, but the parts of your brain are carrying out the action that would operate those motor nerves and would operate those muscles under normal circumstances. So you're simulating the action, and your understanding of what you're seeing right now is inextricably tied up with your ability to simulate in unexpressed form what I'm doing right now. That's the first thing. Mirror neurons, you know about that. But the other thing, which is the bit that I find most interesting, is there's these neuronal assemblies in my brain, the ones that you were mirroring a minute ago. There's these neuronal assemblies which are firing now as I reach out and grasp this apple. Yeah. And it's a pattern of activation pattern which is used wherever I'm grasping. Here it's the same, different apple, but same neuronal assemblies to do with reaching out and grasping. Partly to do with the eye, partly to do with the hand, muscles of the shoulder and so on. But, this is where it's interesting, I think, it's exactly those same neuronal assemblies which are mobilised when I metaphorically grasp something. If I grasp an idea, if you say something and I understand it and I grasp it, those same essentially motor neurons are being fired to enable me to grasp it. And in fact, if I'm describing something to you, if I'm describing grasping something in terms of, intellectually understanding an idea, I might even do this with my hand, I might mirror the action that my brain's carrying out in my body, even though it's purely metaphorical. This is how metaphor works largely. It starts in the body with little jitters of the eyes and movements of the hand and the shoulder, and then those same circuits are deployed for metaphorical purpose. So I can turn an idea into an apple, imaginatively speaking, and then reach an imaginative hand out and grasp that imaginary apple, and that's me grasping an idea. Brilliant, that. I love that. Anyhow, I don't know if that's on topic, off topic, or just, I don't know.